who will be fighting for New York State. Michael Henry, how are you? Welcome to the show, Voices for the Diáspora, it's called, in English, trying to translate it in Spanish. Hello, Michael.
Hi, Michael.
Hi, guys. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here today.
Okay, thank you so much, Michael. And I will turn it over to my host. We will have a great time today. We're going to have a great interview. We want the Latino community, Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, but the Dominicans especially, we are close to hovering at about 1.8 million, the biggest immigrant group in New York State. And we are a force to reckon with. And right now, we are in uncharted waters because this party, they call it a one-party state. But finally, I'm glad, I'm honored to have Republicans. You're the third. The first one was Joe Pinion. The second one was Michael VOCES, and now yourself. And we're going to have more. We expect more candidates. And somebody I know you know very well, which is Lee Zeldin, the congressman who will be running on the Republican side for governor. So you can probably tell us a little bit. That he is your kind of partner, even though it's a two race. You could explain that to us in a little bit. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I actually know Lee Zeldin since he first ran for Congress. He's always been in tough elections. He's always fought through and gotten himself elected. He's a really good person. In politics, it's rare that you meet people that shake your hand and keep their word. He's one of the hardest workers I've ever seen. I mean, if I do 3 or 4 events with him in a day, he's doing another 3 or 4 after I leave. He's all over the state. He's working hard to raise money. And he's listening to New Yorkers, and he has the same commitment that I do as far as trying to work to diversify the party and making the party look more reflective of New York State and not just upstate New York, because what we've been seeing the last decade or so is the majority of the downstate area has been Democrat and the majority of the upstate area has been Republican. And the way we are going to make our party stronger is by bringing Latinos, Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, Colombians, Cubans to the party, Albanian Americans, Russian, Ukrainian Americans. We have to be a party that's welcoming of immigrants and showing immigrants that we're going to be the party that stands up and fights for them and their children who are now taking the next step as far as chasing the American dream.
Thank you, Michael. I'm going to turn it over to my host. And before I do that, this is a dream of mine for the last 5 years. I wanted to bring Republican candidates to bring to the table what they can offer to the Latino community, which I've spoken to many who said the Republicans, the ones that are conservatives and even Democrats, they don't care about us. You are part of that representation, and thank you. And I am so honored that the Republican Party, Mr. Henry, Joe Pinion, and so many others that will be coming on the show. Ismael.
Well, Henry, in the Hispanic and African American communities, brown communities in general, the Democrats have sold the idea that the Republican Party is basically a racist party, is an enemy of the people, of the minorities. So what is your message for these communities, and what do you plan to do for them as Attorney General?
Right. I think the one thing you have to do is try to make people feel like they're wanted, right? If you don't ask someone on a date, you're never going to get the date. So if you don't work for someone's vote, you're not going to get their vote. You just can't show up a month or two before an election. Look, when I was younger, I've been on sports teams and in classrooms where I was a minority. So I'm comfortable going into communities that maybe other Republicans might not have been. But the reality of the situation is, who's hurting the most right now, especially in New York City? Small businesses, especially in the Latino community. I mean, the Latino community is very entrepreneurial. Small businesses are being crushed. Who are the victims the most affected by crime? It's black and brown communities. The educational system, which is completely unacceptable, and quite frankly is a civil rights issue. These are issues where Republicans could stand up and say, we're going to support small businesses. We're going to stand up to the crime issues and these pro-criminal justice reforms that are clearly on the side of criminals and not the police. And we're also going to stand up for against an educational system that's not working.